Alrighty, guys, who is excited for Marvel Zombies? Not me, honestly, not really me. I saw the trailer for Marvel Zombies that came out a few weeks ago. We talked about it on the Access Blockbusters Pod. And, the trailer did more for me than I thought it would. I thought that Marvel Zombies was just another one of those throwaway projects that, yeah, you're just making content for Disney+. That's really been the thing I've been thinking about for animation, right? You make What If for Disney+, and you make What If Season 2 and Season 3, and I just thought they got worse and worse as they went along. There have been some hidden gems, though. Like, I thought Eyes of Wakanda was fine. I thought it was okay. I thought Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was actually quite surprising. X-Men 97, I didn't love it as much as everyone else did, but I still liked it. I thought it was good. But I just think that the animation stuff and making all the special presentations and whatnot, they're all just things to kind of fill up the Disney Plus catalog, if you will. And that's just me being a little cynical because their main offering from Marvel Studios has been What If, the animation side at least. And it's just, I've really not liked What If thus far. So when they said they were going to make Marvel Zombies its entire separate show, I really was not on board with that idea. Because it's like taking an idea from an idea that doesn't work, taking a spin-off of What If, which already was something I didn't love. And the Marvel Zombies episode in What If, I thought was fine. I thought it was okay. But I just didn't love it too much. I thought it was one of the more forgettable episodes, but it was okay. So then to just take an entire episode like that and make it just a separate show, I was like, yeah, I don't know. But again, the trailer, which came out a few weeks ago, rated TVMA and all that stuff that they were advertising, I was like, okay, it looks intense, it looks different, it looks interesting, so I'll give it a shot. So I know the show's come out a while ago. I don't get early screenings for these kinds of things. I hope I can eventually. I hope I can get to watch these things beforehand so I can review them quickly. But as of right now, I have to watch them just like the rest of any of you guys. So I watched Marvel Zombies. Apologies, I didn't get to talk about it in last week's episode. And, I think it has its moments. It has its moments. For the most part, kind of pun intended, kind of no pun intended. It's just kind of mindless entertainment for the most part. And there are some fun things here and there. I will say, though, mixed in with that, there are its moments. I think, really, before we get into the stuff I enjoyed about Marvel Zombies, and this is going to be, I should have said up front, this is going to be a spoiler discussion. I'm assuming if you're tuning into this into this segment that you've seen Marvel Zombies or you just don't really care about spoilers. And while there are some fun things that happen in Marvel Zombies, it's not a consequential project in the MCU. It's taking place in an alternate universe and all that kind of stuff. So again, but if you don't want to be spoiled for Marvel Zombies, totally get that. So just skip ahead to a later part of the podcast or save this segment to watch later. But anyways, full spoiler discussion. I think to get out of the way, the thing that I didn't love the most about Marvel Zombies was really the tone. Because Marvel Zombies had been advertised in the trailers as this violent, gory, kind of different Marvel project where it's going to be more adult and it's going to be more mature and more violent and all that kind of stuff. And certainly, visually and tonally for some parts of it, there are some very gory and just gross things that happen in the show. And I think, if you're going to do Marvel Zombies, fine, that's fine, do that, do it. And I'm not somebody who really enjoys violence or gore for the sake of it, but it fits the tone of what they were going for. And I was like, yeah, it's whatever. But then there are parts of the show that also are so tonally What If, so campy, and not campy in a good way, like, oh, this is a zombie show, so, get excited, but just campy in this is a kids MCU kind of show, like What If was in certain places. There are certain characters like Jimmy Woo, for example, Randall Park, who are just there to be really kiddie and goofy comedic timing, and Zemo was just kind of annoying for the most part. So it's weird because you have these conflicting tones of, oh, we want this to be a very serious and adult kind of show, and then on the other hand you have these moments where you're like, yeah, but this still just feels like a What If episode. The parts of What If that I just really didn't like, the fact that it just was geared towards kind of mindless entertainment, and I didn't love that. So there are some tonal disconnects going on there. Two big strengths, though, that I want to talk about with Marvel Zombies. Really, I'm not going to go through every single episode and all that kind of stuff with this. It's just, it's fun. It was fine. But two big strengths that I found with Marvel Zombies. Number one, I think the characters that they chose to focus on were quite well picked. And I know that they had to go off of what happened in the Marvel Zombies episode in What If. So a lot of characters like Vision and Doctor Strange, all those characters are not in play anymore. Iron Man and Cap, they're not there anymore. And that's, they can't use them. But I think the characters, one thing I've said about these animated shows is that at least, even if you're not my cup of tea, I'm glad that they've been able to showcase some of the characters that we haven't seen in the MCU for quite a while. We haven't seen Kamala Khan since the Marvels, and I loved her in Miss Marvel, and I liked her a decent bit in the Marvels, and we just haven't seen her since. And so making Iman Vellani, Kamala Khan, the lead of Marvel Zombies, I think is a great idea. Getting Lizzie Olsen to come back and voice Wanda Maximoff, again, probably a pretty good paycheck, but also, shows that she's still game to play Wanda, and I think that it adds just a layer of credibility to this show, hearing Lizzie Olsen's voice come back as Wanda Maximoff. And, her character was interesting, right? Because it took parts of WandaVision where, creating your own reality at the end, which we'll talk about in just a second. But, having characters like Awkwafina come back as Katie, love any Shang-Chi action that we can get, love the Ten Rings, so Simu Liu coming back is great. Obviously, we got Thunderbolts, and so now we have David Harbour and Florence Pugh coming back, some young Avengers with Kate Bishop and Riri Williams. So I like that they're showcasing some characters with this show that hadn't been done before. And of course we got the Mahershala Ali less Blade Moon Knight character. And I thought he was cool. Really no explanation for what was going on here. If you're watching this show, right, if you're watching Marvel Zombies, they really are assuming, oh, you know what's going on. Because, Blade Moon Knight just shows up, and Khonshu and Valkyrie and Headless Ant-Man and Zombie Thanos and Wanda Zombie Queen. So it's all just happening as if you are supposed to already be in tune with what's going on here. There's no backstory to any of these characters, and that's fine. It is what it is. You're assuming that you're a Marvel MCU fan if you're watching this show. The other thing I really enjoyed, aside from the characters and their interactions, and of course the action was pretty interesting and pretty fun, but the other big thing that I really enjoyed was actually the ending. I thought, it's a really cool thing to bring in Bruce Banner to kind of be the holder of this Infinity Stone radiation or energy or whatever, and it had, the very end had shades of Ironheart to it. It's sort of Ironheart mixed with WandaVision, right? Where at the end of Ironheart, a show that I thought was all right, it was okay, but at the end of Ironheart, Ironheart talks to Mephisto, and he offers her the choice to bring back Natalie, right? And she takes the deal, and Kamala Khan ends up taking the deal, and she ends up in this idyllic place where all of her friends, Kate Bishop and Riri Williams, are back, and it's a totally normal lifestyle, which you have to imagine living in the zombie apocalypse for 5 years is just such a relief. But then you get the hints that, it's kind of a hex reality, right? It's not actually what's going on here. So I thought that part of the ending was actually quite good. I think that the concept of zombies in general is not as interesting unless it's done really originally or really well. That's what I think makes a show like The Last of Us really stand out, because it is a zombie show, but it's done in a very thoughtful and different and intricate way, and I really like that. But just having hordes and hordes of zombies, it's just not my cup of tea, I think. So this show always had a ceiling for it, but at the end of the day, it's 4 episodes, it's maybe an hour and 20 minutes in total, and it was fine. It was fine. Mindlessly entertaining, as I said, probably in the title of the segment as well. It was fine. And I don't know if fine is what we want out of Marvel animation. I'm very much looking forward to X-Men 97 Season 2 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2. So I think that at least there are a couple animated shows that Marvel is doing that I am very much interested in. But Marvel Zombies, probably not one that I'm going to rewatch anytime soon. Guys, have you seen Marvel Zombies? I'm assuming you have if you have stuck around for this spoiler discussion. What did you think about the show in general? Let me know in the comments down